So when an average person walks up to a pin, they're going to swipe their card. And in this case, my pin is 1638. So I would go ahead and push 1, 6, 3, 8. And what do you know? It's a match. Now, when somebody can't put in that pin, what they're going to do is they will then swipe their card. That pin, 1638, then gets sent to PinFaced. They set PinFaced over the card reader. And if you could look on the left, you can actually see the numbers appearing. 1638, it's a match.
This portion of the technical description will go over the keypad that we had to make. This is a fully functional keypad. You can swipe in your magnetic card, your pen card, and it will parse out your pen ID, map it to a 4-digit pin code, and this keypad will look for the 4-digit pin code. We stripped down a keypad, and this is just the raw, bare bones version of it, where once you push any one of these digits, the yellow LED blinks, and once you have the correct 4 digits entered in, the green light turns on. Here you can see what's underneath the hood. We have a little Bluetooth module over here that can communicate with the PinFaced Arduino and send over the 4-digit pin code. Then we've got an Arduino Uno with a SparkFun breadboard that's connected to each row and column of the keypad. As well as lastly, we have the LEDs that are connected to the Arduino. The way it works is, once you swipe your keypad, a 4-digit pin code is sent over to the PinFaced module on top. That is then parsed, and each corresponding solenoid, 1 through 10, and 10 in this case being 0, is fired. The solenoids are connected to a circuit here on this breadboard, and the way that it works is I use a transistor, resistor, and a diode in order to increase the amperage to each solenoid. So these individual solenoids are drawing from an external power source. That can be a Minty Boost, or it can be one of the power sources in the lab bench. The solenoid then fires, and it presses on the corresponding key. One problem that we had was there was debouncing, where even though the solenoid fired, there were micro bounces which pushed the keys multiple times. The way to fix that is we implemented a debouncer in the keypad code, which would then create a delay after a key was pressed, a small delay, so that the subsequent bounces would be nullified. So each of these little transistors corresponds to one solenoid, and they have their own corresponding circuit. The diode is there to prevent back voltage or back EMF from the solenoid to the circuit, which prevents frying this Arduino here. Additionally, the transistor functions as a switch to an external power source, so it's only closed when there is a corresponding signal sent from the Arduino from a digital pin to the gate of the transistor, and we can control which transistor circuit or which solenoid gets the closed gate signal by determining which digital pin reads high or low. Additionally, what we can do is then draw power from the external power source, which then fires off the solenoid, as I explained before. All this is soldered onto the perf board, so it looks nice and clean, even though there are a lot of wires. But hopefully in the future we can make it smaller by printing it onto a circuit board. Didn't want to do that now because we wanted to show exactly how everything works on a macroscopic level. Now over here you can see the Arduino that controls these solenoids. This is this Uno, and we've got a little Bluetooth device that's the slave that is receiving information from the keypad, the 4-digit pin. In the future, what we would want to do is have this hooked up to maybe a wireless database where once a card is swiped, it can look up that card on an external source rather than being dependent on the keypad. but again, that was difficult because the wireless board would sometimes interfere with the Bluetooth, or it would require like external power that we don't want to complicate with on the PinFaced device. So what we have here is an Ethernet module. Right now the Ethernet is disconnected in order to just kind of show everything is placed, but that's a separate Arduino which would receive power from this first Arduino, or not power, or a signal from the first Arduino once all the 4 digits are entered. And this board here, the Ethernet board, is able to communicate to the internet to send an email to an external person who's not using PinFaced to tell them that, hey, please help me. Now what we want to do is show a close-up view of the solenoids being fired. This is a pre-programmed code that will just run through the solenoids, and you can see how they press down on the keys very precisely. And we have little rubber pads attached to them so that they can press down on the exact key. Right now it's configured so that each one of these will press on the key, and you can see how they push down and fire as if you're pressing on it with your finger.